My hand was on Valor's collar when I realized I couldn't push him away. Not because I was weak, but because he didn't move an inch. I told you, don't touch me. My voice came out low, gritted between clenched teeth. Valor looked down at my hand gripping his shirt, then back at me. No anger, no surprise, just a calm that pissed me off. You done? The question. So light it was almost nothing, but it made my blood boil. I tightened my grip. You think I'm joking? No, he answered. I think you're losing control. I shoved him hard. At least, I tried. But Valor only stepped back half a step, just enough to steady himself, like his body was used to being attacked. And me? I was breathing hard, like I just sprinted a full lap. Fuck, I hated that. I don't need you to train me, I said, voice hoarse. I didn't sign up for this. Right? Valor straightened his collar, eyes still locked on me. You were forced into it. Then let me go. No. You don't have the right. I do. Not loud, not threatening, just a certainty that made me freeze. You're on my list, he said, and I don't quit on trainees. I let out a laugh, this time a real one. Tired, bitter laugh. I'm not your trainee. Valor stepped closer. This time, he was the one closing the distance. From the moment you stepped onto this field, he said, voice dropping lower, you became mine. My heart stopped. One beat, just one. But it was enough to make me hate those words. Are you insane? I frowned. That sounds creepy as fuck. Valor didn't react. He just looked at me. I could see every line of his face clearly. Sharp jaw, straight nose, deep eyes, and fuck. Why was I even noticing this shit? I let go of him, like I'd been burned. Stay away from me. Why? He asked. Because I don't like you. No. Valor shook his head lightly. That's not it. I frowned. You think you know me? I think you're scared. That sentence hit me straight in the chest. I took a step back. You don't know shit. You're scared of failing, he continued, like he hadn't heard me. Scared of being seen as not good enough. Shut up. Scared enough that you'd rather quit before. I said shut up. My voice echoed across the field. A few people turned to look. I didn't care. I just stared at him, waiting to see if he'd react. But Valor just stood there, not angry, not annoyed, just looking at me, like I was a problem he was solving. Good, he said quietly. I froze. What? At least you know how to get angry. I didn't understand. I really didn't get what game he was playing. What do you want from me? I asked, voice lower but still tense. 6 a.m. He answered instantly. I laughed again. No fucking way. Fine. He turned his back. Simple. Decisive. No trying to convince me. No dragging it out. Just walked away. Wait. I hated myself for calling out. Valor stopped. He didn't turn around. Why me? I asked. A long silence stretched for a few seconds. Then he said, because you're the only one here who makes me want to fix you completely. I went rigid, not because the words sounded positive, but because of the way he said them. Too honest. I'm not your project, I said softly. No, Valor replied. A pause. Then he turned his head back. For the first time, his eyes weren't completely cold. You're my challenge. My heart pounded hard. Not in its normal rhythm, but off by a beat, wrong by a beat, and I hated that. I hated him, hated the way he talked, hated the way he looked at me, hated the way he made me feel seen. But the next morning, 5:57 a.m., I was standing on the field, earlier than the time we'd set, and when Valor showed up, his eyes swept over me and paused for a second. Then he said, I knew you'd come. I should have walked away. I should have gone home. I should have proved him wrong. But instead, I stayed. You're 2 minutes late. Before I could say anything, Valor spoke. I checked my watch. 5:59. Are you obsessed? No. He glanced at my wrist. Your watch is slow. I let out a long breath, trying not to roll my eyes. Fine. So what now? Valor didn't answer right away. He walked a slow circle around me. Just like yesterday, his gaze scanning every tiny detail of my body. I hated this feeling, like I was being read. Run. What? 10 laps. I stood still, waiting to see if he was joking. He wasn't. You're serious? Yeah. I haven't even warmed up. Run slow. I can't run 10 laps. Run as many as you can. I gritted my teeth. Are you trying to kill me? No, Valor answered flatly. I'm seeing where you break. I laughed, not amused, not happy, just not knowing how else to react. You're a real asshole. Run wilder. His voice was a little lower this time, not forcing, but leaving no choice. I stood there 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, then I ran. First lap. Okay, not too bad. I kept my breathing steady, legs still light, body not fighting back yet. I glanced at Valor as I passed. He stood there, arms crossed over his chest, eyes following me. No cheering, no words, just watching. Second lap. I started to feel it, chest a little heavy, legs not as light anymore, but still manageable. Breathing. His voice rang out as I ran past. Don't rush it. I didn't answer, but I listened. And fuck, I did it. Deep breath. Kept the rhythm. Third lap. My lungs started burning. Actually burning, like someone had stuffed fire into my chest. Posture. Valor spoke again. Don't hunch. I wanted to curse, wanted to scream at him to shut up, but I had no breath left, so I just fixed it and kept running. Fourth lap. I slowed down, not because I wanted to, but because my body started betraying me. Legs heavy as lead. Every step felt like dragging. Good, he said. I almost tripped. Good my ass. You haven't stopped yet. I clenched my jaw, kept going. Fifth lap. I stopped. Not a choice. Just couldn't anymore. I bent over, hands on my knees, gasping like I'd never breathed in my life. Sweat stung my eyes. Chest hurt. Head spinning. Done. I looked up. Valor was standing right in front of me. I hadn't even noticed him walk over. You saw it. I panted. I can't do it. He looked at me, said nothing, just looked. I hated that look. You want me to say it again? I growled. I can't. You ran 5 laps. I froze. So? Yesterday you said you couldn't run 10. Right? But you ran half. I stayed quiet, not sure how to react. Bad, I said. No. Valor shook his head. Honest. I frowned. You know your limits, he continued, but you still tried. I let out a small laugh. Are you complimenting me? Yeah. The answer came too fast. Not like him at all. I looked at him, for the first time, not with complete irritation. Thanks, I said, almost reluctantly. Valor nodded. Drink water. He handed me a bottle. I took it. Our fingers brushed. Just for a second. But it was enough to make me flinch slightly. Not from electricity. Not from some movie cliché. But because I wasn't used to it. Not used to him being this close. Not used to him caring. I took a long swig. Cold water slid down my throat, bringing me back to life. Tomorrow 6 laps, Valor said. I nearly choked. What? Gradual increase. You're kidding me? No. I almost died. But you didn't die. I stared at him, not sure whether to laugh or punch him. Are you always like this? I asked. Like what? Cruel. Valor was silent for a second. Then he said, only with people who can take it. I didn't know why that sentence made my heart skip a beat. Maybe because of the way he said it. Maybe because of his eyes right then. No longer completely cold, but focused, like I was actually worth the effort. I turned my face away. Didn't want him to see my reaction. Anything else? I asked. Yeah. I sighed. I knew it. Come earlier tomorrow. I already came early. Even earlier. I looked at him, incredulous. You're serious? Yeah. How early? 5:45. I looked up at the sky. It wasn't even fully light yet. I hate you, I said. I know. You're not going to do anything with that information? No. I laughed. This time, a real laugh. Lighter, less tense. And when I turned to leave the field, I didn't realize that this was the first time in a long while I didn't feel like quitting right away. I hated waking up at 5:30 a.m. Not the normal don't like it kind, but the kind where my body completely rebelled. My mind was foggy, and every cell asked me one single question. Why the hell am I doing this stupid shit? I could sleep more. I could skip. I could go back to my old life, hiding in the library, pretending to be busy, avoiding anything physical. No one was forcing me to push this hard. Except one person. Valor. I muttered a curse as I sat up, rubbing my eyes. Fuck, I was really doing this. 5:44. I arrived 1 minute early. Not because I wanted to impress. I just didn't want to hear him say it. But of course, Valor was already there. He leaned against the fence, arms crossed, like he hadn't left that spot since yesterday. I paused for a second. Do you not sleep? I sleep. Doesn't sound like it. You came early. Don't change the subject. A quick, very quick, twitch at the corner of his mouth. Almost like a smile. I blinked. Must have imagined it. Warm up, he said. At least this time you're letting me warm up before you kill me. Progress. You're joking now. Not joking. Valor didn't reply. He stepped closer. Raise your arms. What? Raise your arms. I sighed but did it. He stood right in front of me, too close. I could feel the warmth from his body even though the morning was still cold. Your shoulders are tight, he said. Thanks for the extremely useful info. Relax. I am. His hands touched my shoulders. I stiffened instantly. Relax, he repeated, voice lower this time. His fingers pressed lightly, then slid down my arms, adjusting my posture. Not rough, but firm. I swallowed hard. You don't have to. If I don't touch you, he said, you'll do it wrong. Then let me do it wrong. No. One word. Decisive. I looked at him. Do you always have to control everything? Only the things that are my responsibility. And I'm one of them? Valor looked straight into my eyes. 1 second. 2 seconds. Yeah. No hesitation. No dodging. My heart skipped again. I turned my face first. Warm up done yet? I asked, trying to keep my voice normal. Not yet. I sighed. You planning to keep me here until I'm old? Not long enough for you to improve. I hate you. I know. That day I ran 6 laps. Not easier than yesterday, but not harder either. like my body was starting to get used to being pushed to the limit. Or maybe I was starting to get used to Valor standing there, watching, counting every lap, calling my name every time I wanted to slow down. Wilder. Just one word, but enough to make me grit my teeth and keep running. After we finished, I lay flat on the grass, gasping. The sky was getting brighter, pale blue mixed with the first gold of the day. Don't lie down right away, Valor said. Too late. You'll get dizzy. I'm already dizzy. He stepped closer. I felt his shadow block the sunlight. Sit up. I don't. Wilder. His voice this time was different. Not an order, but concern. Just a little, but enough for me to notice. I pushed myself up with my hands, even though my whole body protested. See, he said, not that hard. You run 6 laps and then say that. I run 12 every morning. I looked at him. You're serious? Yeah. Are you a monster? No, he shrugged. I just train. I laughed. Fine, Mr. Perfect. I'm not perfect. Yeah, right. You're just close to it. A small silence. Not uncomfortable. Just quiet. I wasn't used to this feeling. Being next to someone without having to pretend. Without having to act like I was okay. Valor sat down beside me. Not too close, but not far either. What's your major? He asked. I was surprised. You care? Answer. Literature. He nodded lightly. Not surprising. What do you mean? You think a lot. Not sure that's a compliment. It's not. I laughed. You really don't know how to talk to people. Don't need to. Right? You just give orders. More efficient. I turned to look at him. The morning light hit his face, softening the sharp, cold lines. And for a moment, he didn't seem as hateful as I thought. Why are you doing this? I asked. What? Training me. He was silent, longer than usual. I don't like quitting, he said finally. I'm not your project. I know. Then. But you're the only one who doesn't pretend. I froze. What? The others, he said, eyes looking straight ahead. They pretend to be strong, pretend to be fine, pretend not to be tired. He turned to me. You don't. I didn't know what to say, because he was right. I always showed it when I was weak, always let it show when I couldn't take it. I thought that was a weakness, I said quietly. No. Valor shook his head. That's the starting point. My heart pounded hard, not from running, but because of that sentence. No one had ever said that to me before. No one had ever looked at me like that. I turned my face away, didn't want him to see. Do I still have to come tomorrow? I asked, trying to change the subject. Yeah. I guess 5:30? 5:40. I frowned. You're going easy on me? You need sleep. I blinked. Did you just care about my sleep? No, he answered immediately. I need you to perform well. I smiled faintly. Yeah, of course. But deep down, I didn't fully believe that, and that confused me more than I wanted to admit. Day 4, my body started hurting in very new ways. Not the simple post-workout soreness, but the kind where even stepping out of bed made me grit my teeth. My thighs were tight, my shoulders felt heavy, and every deep breath, my chest felt stretched too far. I stood in front of the mirror, looking at myself. Still me, still skinny, still nothing that screamed athlete. But something was different, not obvious, just a feeling that my body was changing even if slowly, and I wasn't sure if I liked it or feared it. 5:39. I arrived. Valor was already there. As always, you're 1 minute late. I came 1 minute early. I shot back. Not enough. I rolled my eyes. You're a morning nightmare. Warm up. No, good morning. Good morning, Wilder. I froze. Looked at him. Valor wasn't looking at me. But I swear, his voice had just gotten a little softer. Good morning, I replied slower. Fuck, why did this feel so weird? Today's session was heavier. Not just running, but planks, squats, push-ups. I hated all of it. Arms straight. I am. No, you're cheating. I'm not. Wilder. Just one word. I shut up, fixed my form, kept going. By the time I collapsed on the field, arms shaking so badly I couldn't push myself up. Good. I turned my head and looked at Valor like he'd just said the stupidest thing ever. Good my ass. You didn't quit. I have no strength left to quit. Still counts as not quitting. I exhaled sharply, not sure whether to argue or laugh. Do you ever get satisfied? Yes. When? When you stop asking that question. I laughed, this time tired but real. After the session, we didn't leave right away. Neither of us spoke. Just sat there, side by side, breathing. I couldn't remember the last time I sat next to someone in silence without feeling uncomfortable. You don't belong on the sports team, Valor said. Wow, fresh news. But you still show up. I need the scholarship. Not just that. I glanced at him. You reading me again? No, he shook his head. I observe. What's the difference? Observing doesn't judge. I stayed quiet, not sure why that made me soften a little. I'm not good at this stuff, I said, looking down at my hands. I know. I don't like being forced either. I know. I don't even like you. A pause. I know. I smirked. Then why are you still patient with me? This time, Valor didn't answer right away. He looked out at the field. Other people were starting to arrive. Noise returned. But between us, it stayed quiet. Because you keep coming back, he said finally. I didn't say anything. Because I had no answer for that. Day 5. I didn't want to admit it. But I was starting to look for Valor first when I got to the field. And when I didn't see him in his usual spot, my heart sank a little. You're late. His voice came from behind. I spun around. Valor stood there holding 2 water bottles. Where did you go? I asked faster than I meant to. He raised an eyebrow slightly. Bought water. I went quiet. Fuck, I just asked that like, cared. Thought you disappeared, I muttered. I don't skip sessions. I know. Then why ask? I didn't answer, because I didn't want to say the truth, that in just a few days, his presence had become something familiar, dangerous. Today's session sucked. My body couldn't keep up. I ran out of breath earlier, legs heavier, everything harder. What's wrong? Valor asked when I stopped earlier than usual. Nothing. Not true. I'm just tired. You're tired every day. I know. I snapped, a little too loud. A few people turned. I didn't care. I'm not you, I said, voice strained. I can't keep improving all the time. I'm not that kind of person. Silence. I panted, waiting for him to argue back, waiting for him to say something like, you have to try harder. But Valor didn't. He stepped closer, not too fast, not pushing. Look at me. I didn't want to, but I did. You think I was always like this? He asked. Yeah. No. I froze. Before, he said, voice lower, I was the one who quit. I blinked. Didn't believe it. You? Yeah. Doesn't seem like it. That's because you only see me now. A pause. So what happened? I asked. He didn't answer right away. His eyes changed. No longer sharp, but deeper. Someone didn't quit on me, he said. I felt something tighten in my chest. And now, he continued, I'm not quitting on you. I looked at him, couldn't say anything, because no one had ever said that to me before. No one had ever chosen to stay. Stand up, Valor said. This time his voice wasn't hard, but steady. I took a deep breath, pushed with my hands, stood up. One more lap, he said. I looked at him. Just one? Yeah. I nodded, and I ran. Not fast, not pretty, but I ran. And when I finished, Valor nodded, a very small nod. I started to realize something was wrong. When Valor stopped being just a trainer, not in an obvious way, but in the tiny things, the things that were hard to name. Day 6. I arrived late, not on purpose. I overslept. For the first time since we started. I ran to the field, heart racing not from training, but from worry. Worry he'd be annoyed. Worry he'd be disappointed. Worry he'd think I'd given up. I stopped when I saw him. Valor stood there, as always, but this time, he didn't say anything, just looked at me. Sorry, I said first, still breathing hard. You overslept. I blinked. Yeah. You need sleep. I froze. You're not mad? No. You're not punishing me? No. I looked at him, trying to see if this was a trap. You okay? I asked. A quick, very quick, shift in his eyes. Yeah. Then why? Warm up. He cut me off, but not like every other time. Not sharp, not cold, but evasive. I didn't say anything more, but in my head, a question started forming. Today's session was lighter, not because I was stronger, but because Valor lowered the intensity. I noticed, clearly. You're going easy on me, I said when we rested. No. Yes. No. Valor. He went quiet. Why? A pause. The morning breeze blew lightly across the field, the sunlight warmer than the days before. I'm adjusting to your condition, he said finally. No. I shook my head. You're holding back. He looked at me, didn't deny, didn't explain, just looked. Don't do that, I said softly. Do what? Treat me differently. I'm not. You are. I looked straight at him. You're getting softer. The moment those words left my mouth, I realized I'd crossed a line. A line that wasn't supposed to be said. Valor stayed silent, longer than usual. You don't like it? He asked. I froze. No, it wasn't that I didn't like it. Exactly. I didn't know what I liked anymore. I'm used to you being more of an asshole, I said, forcing a smile. The corner of his mouth twitched up, very lightly. Then I'll try to keep the image. I smiled, but inside, not completely relieved. After the session, we didn't leave right away, like every day, but today, it was different. Valor didn't talk much, less than usual. I noticed, and I didn't like it. You're avoiding me, I said directly. He turned to me. No. Yes. No. Valor. I repeated his name, this time, not as a rebuttal, but as a call. He looked at me. His gaze lingered longer. You think too much, he said. You've been saying that since day one. And it's still true. I exhaled. Then tell me, I said. Why did you change? He didn't answer, just looked at me, like he was considering, like he was struggling. Valor. This time my voice was lower, almost soft. I'm not good at this stuff, I said, but I know when something's different. A long silence. Then he stood up. Session's over, he said. I froze. You're dodging. I have things to do. Valor. Wilder. He turned back, his eyes this time sharper, but not from anger, but from keeping distance. Don't. One word, light, but enough to make me stop. I didn't say anything else, just looked at him, and when he turned and walked away, for the first time since we started, I felt not tired, not sore, but empty. That night, I couldn't focus, not on books, not on anything. My head kept replaying the way he looked at me, the way he avoided me, the way he said don't. I lay on my bed, staring at the ceiling, asking myself a question I didn't want to ask. Why do I even care? He's just a trainer, just someone I recently met, just Valor. I rolled over, sighed, fuck. The next morning, I arrived early, earlier than any day, 5:30. The field was empty, no one there, no Valor. I stood there, waiting, 5:35. No one, 5:40. Still nothing. An uneasy feeling started spreading in my chest. Not anger, not clear worry, just unease. 5:45. I turned to leave. You came early. His voice came from behind. I spun around immediately. Valor stood there, as always, but this time, I realized I had sighed in relief, clearly, and that made me panic. I thought you weren't coming. I spoke the second I turned, faster than I could think. Valor paused. His eyes swept over me, stopped for a beat. I always come. His voice was normal, like always, but I still felt something off. I came early, I said like I had to explain. I saw. You're late. No. I frowned. It's 5:45. Session time is 5:40. You're late. You came early. I looked at him. He looked back. 1 second. 2 seconds. Then the corner of his mouth lifted very lightly. I froze. Did you just smile? No. Yes. No. I laughed. A real laugh. Light and familiar. Fuck. Warm up, he said. But this time, he didn't touch me right away. No adjusting. No standing too close. Just observing from a little farther away. I noticed immediately, and I didn't like it. You're not correcting me anymore? I asked while rolling my shoulders. You can do it yourself. I'm still doing it wrong. Then fix it. I stopped, turned to look at him. Valor. He stayed quiet. I don't need you to go easy on me, I said. I'm not going easy. You're keeping distance. A pause. The morning breeze blew, carrying a light chill. Valor looked at me, not dodging, but not stepping closer either. What do you want me to do? He asked. That question wasn't a challenge, but real. I opened my mouth, then froze, because I didn't know. Did I want him to go back to how it was before? Want him to touch me? Adjust every move? Stand close enough that I could feel his breath? That didn't sound right at all. I stopped, frowning. I just don't like the change. Valor nodded lightly. Understood. Then don't change. He stayed silent, longer than usual. Not always possible, he said. I looked at him. That sentence didn't sound like it was only about training. Something wrong? I asked. He shook his head. No. Don't lie. I'm not. Valor. I said his name, this time. Not sharp, not defiant, but holding on. He looked at me. Our eyes met. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3. Run, he said, cutting me off. Again, I clenched my fists. You always do this. Do what? Avoid. No. Yes. Run wilder. His voice dropped, not loud, but heavy. I looked at him 1 more second, then turned, ran. That day, I ran faster, not because I was fitter, but because I was pissed. Pissed at him, pissed at myself, pissed at the unclear feeling sitting in my chest. 8 laps. His voice rang out as I passed. I stopped short. 8. You did good yesterday. Yesterday you went easy. Today I won't. I gritted my teeth, kept running. 6th lap. I started running out of breath, but I didn't stop, didn't want to stop, didn't want to show him I was weak, didn't want. Fuck, I didn't even know what I was trying to prove anymore. Wilder. His voice came, closer. I turned my head. Valor was running beside me, steady pace, no struggle, like 8 laps was just warm up for him. What are you doing? I panted. Running with you. I don't need. I know. He looked straight ahead. But I want to. My heart stopped. Just 1 beat. But enough. I turned away, kept running, said nothing more. But I didn't slow down. We finished the last lap together. I stopped first, bent over, gasping, sweat dripping to the ground. Valor stayed standing, only breathing a little harder. Not bad, he said. I'm about to die. But you're not dead yet. I laughed hoarsely. You really don't know how to say anything else. Efficient. I sat down, not lying down. No need for him to remind me. A small improvement. Valor sat down beside me. This time. Closer than yesterday. Not touching, but close. You mad? He asked. I looked up. No. Lying. I'm not. Wilder. I exhaled. Yeah, I said softly. A little. Why? I stayed quiet, not sure if I should tell the truth. But then, I don't like you pushing me away, I said, the second the words left. I wanted to take them back, but it was too late. Valor didn't say anything, just looked at me, his eyes. Different, not cold, not analyzing, but deeper, like he was looking at something more fragile than usual. I'm not pushing you away, he said. You are. I'm trying. He stopped. For the first time, I saw him not finish a sentence. Trying what? I asked. A long silence. Then, to keep everything in the right place, he said. I frowned. Sounds vague as fuck. Yeah. I laughed lightly. You always say shit like that? Only when necessary. Then explain. He looked at me, then shook his head. Not the time yet. I sighed. You're driving me crazy. I know. And you're not going to fix it? No. I looked at him, then, without understanding why, I smiled. Asshole. Yeah. But this time, the air between us was no longer as tense as before, but sensitive, like one wrong step, and everything would change.